Welcome back to another UFC fight prediction video. In this video, I'll be predicting the prelim fights for UFC Fight Night, Ortega versus the Korean Zombie. So without further ado, let's get to our first fight on the card and our first fight on the prelims. So in our first fight, we have a battle at 135, Nurmagomedov versus Streigl. So yeah, Nurmagomedov versus Streigl. So I look at this fight right here. Nurmagomedov is a taller fighter, the better striker. I think Streigl will have a slight grappling advantage, a slight, very slim, maybe not even actually have a grappling advantage, but I could say he perhaps might have a slight grappling advantage, but nothing that I would think would even be a big factor in this fight. But I really see this fight, even if he does have a bit of a grappling advantage or not, I feel like that's the way he's going to want to get the fight, because I feel on the feet, Nurmagomedov is longer, he's the more technical striker, the more versatile striker, and overall his competition has been better, and he has won against better competition. But like I said, this fight, I feel like Streigl want to get to the ground. I feel like Nurmagomedov is going to be to stuff it or even out grapple him if he wants to, or secure the takedowns more in this fight than Streigl. But I really just see more so Nurmagomedov maintaining his distance and being the faster, longer, sharper fighter, and just picking apart Streigl from distance and stuffing his takedowns, and probably getting a late stoppage in this one. So in this one, I got Nurmagomedov via third round TKO. Now to our next fight, we have in the 205-pound division at light heavyweight, Gamrot Antigulov versus Grishin. And this prediction will be very quick, because at this point, really for a long point, I have not had the best opinion or thoughts on Antigulov. I see him as a guy with pretty poor striking, very low fight IQ, decent to solid grappling skills, but his fight IQ is not smart. He burns the gas tank out, swinging ugly shots. He'll go in, swinging ugly punches and throwing ugly energy wasting strikes. He'll go hard for takedowns to the point where it's not even smart. Like, you could set those takedowns up instead of just trying to burn yourself out, just trying to get one takedown. You're like 20 seconds into the fight and you're already burning yourself out trying to force takedowns instead of setting them up. Like, his fight IQ is just disastrously terrible. Like, I don't know, I can't ever feel confident leaning to this guy, and I will not feel confident. I will feel comfortable leaning to anyone that's not him in the fight unless they're just that terrible or just has that lack of grappling. And looking at Grishin, he'll be the longer, as far as a lankier fighter, longer reach, uses reach better striker. He's fought, I forgot now, I think maybe it's Tony Johnson is the guy's name. Maybe it's a different guy. I'm getting the name mixed up, but pretty much a guy that just left the UFC not too long ago and was at one point a light heavyweight prospect, but since going to PFL, hasn't been having the greatest success, but he at least been, a contender in that light heavyweight tournament for last 2 years or 2 seasons, whatnot. But yeah, that guy's a solid grappler, solid wrestler, definitely have better takedown offense, and he was able to stuff some of his takedowns and land strikes on the feet. So I'm pretty sure he can stuff Antigulov's takedowns and just pick apart Antigulov on the feet, because Antigulov is a punching bag with poor striking and poor fight IQ, can't move his head, don't even got a neck. That guy is going to get his takedown stuffed and get pieced apart and probably get stopped in the second round. So in this fight, I got Grishin via second round TKO. Now to our next fight, we have in the 155 division, Ziam versus Jamie Mullarkey. So this is an interesting one right here. It's kind of a little bit hard to see who to lean to, but looking at it's going to be more so be leaning to Mullarkey, because he actually held his own in striking with an actual world-class striker in his last fight, whereas Ziam really didn't hold his own in any area of his last fight. He just kind of got picked apart on the feet and taken down. Didn't really have any shining moments. He survived and was there, but he really didn't have no moments in this fight, whereas Mullarkey was in a war with a guy that's currently doing very well in the division and rising up with Brad Riddle. He had a war with Brad Riddle. So it's kind of like a little bit of MMA math, but it's also kind of hard because you lean to two guys. You're looking at two guys who definitely need to improve on the ground, because Mullarkey got out grappled by a striker. And I know a lot of those people at that camp in a little, whatever case, Israel Adesanya's gym, a lot of them might come in as striker, but their grappling get much better, and they start actually mixing and grappling the game, and it's at a much higher level than you give them credit for. But still doesn't look the best to be out grappled by a striker, a K1 striker guy. But either way, it's a fight where both guys coming off fights where they had definitely got dominated as far as the grappling aspects of their last fights. And really, Ziam got just dominated in every aspect of his fight, but Mullarkey definitely got dominated in the grappling aspect, got outstruck, but it was still a war. So I'm really going to lean to Jamie Mullarkey for the fact that he was able to be in the world-class striker and hold his own, get some good shots and get some good licks in to make a war, where Ziam was in a fight where he just was behind the ball the whole fight. So I'm gonna lean to Mullarkey to be at where the grappling was gonna be a little bit neutralized in this one. I feel like Mullarkey's the better striker, and that's where he's gonna shine, and that's where he's gonna get the victory. I think it's a exciting fight, but Mullarkey fully in the driver's seat of this one, outstriking Ziam through 3 rounds. So in this fight, I got Jamie Mullarkey via decision. Now to our next fight, we have in the 185-pound division at middleweight, Jun Young Park versus John Phillips. And this one could be very quick. I think Park is the cleaner, more clinical striker, but Phillips always has that power. And if you're going to strike with him, that could be a very bad night for you. But what I feel is that Jun Young Park, his debut in the UFC, he got submitted by Anthony Hernandez. Then I'm forgetting the last guy he fought, but the guy was like a 2-division champion in some other scene or some European or whatnot scene or whatever the case. He came in the UFC with a high perception of who he was and kind of fell off that. But out of the way, the guy had at least a well-rounded skill set. And Jun Young Park was able to take him down, outstrike him at least until the 3rd round. So I see Jun Young Park as the more well-rounded fighter, and Phillips is like a one-dimensional knock you out or lose type fighter. If he don't knock you out, he's gonna lose type fighter. I think on the feet, he could definitely have chances to land shots because Park will strike with him. But the fact that Park has other avenues, I'm gonna lean heavily to Park to be able to mix it in when he needs to get takedown, take off some steam, take some steam off of Phillips' punches, and really, like I said, be the more well-rounded fighter, be the more technical fighter. And it's really as simple as that with this one. So in this fight, I got Jun Young Park via decision. Now to our next fight, we have in the women's flyweight division, 125 women's flyweight. So you got Jillian Robertson versus Poliana Botelho. And looking at the time, I'm really going to zoom in through these predictions because really this is one of the cards where the predictions are kind of easy in a way. I could break it down a little bit more, but predictions for me are a little bit easy for this card. Like I don't have to really look too much deeper. It's kind of surface level for the most part when I'm looking at these fights, predictions for these fights, especially with Kutateladze and etc. But yes, Jillian Robertson versus Botelho, not to drag it on too much. It's just because I'm trying to extend it or thinking about extending, but to, stick to the video. Robertson versus Botelho. Robertson is the favorite right now because you kind of see Botelho lost to Cynthia Calvillo, but Jillian Robertson is no Cynthia Calvillo. And also, Botelho's last fight against Mueller wasn't the best either. She kind of faded off in that 3rd round, but you're kind of saying that Robertson is benefiting in the odds because of Cynthia Calvillo. But when you look at Robertson, she's a young fighter. She's almost 10 years younger than Botelho. She's 24 and Botelho's 31, 32. So she's almost 10 years younger than Botelho. But like I said, she's benefiting off that Cynthia Calvillo fight. But when you look at Robertson, she's no Cynthia Calvillo. Every time she fights a grappler better than her, she looks way worse than Botelho looks. She fights she fights a grappler, she gets submitted in 40 seconds, a minute. Fights a fighter that's what's that other fight she fought? Macy Barber got stopped in the 1st round. So every time she literally fights somebody that's better than her or a better grappler than her, she losing the 1st round pretty quickly. So Robertson can't really say nothing. She can say, "Oh, I'm gonna try to do better than Cynthia Calvillo," but you aren't better than Cynthia Calvillo. Or maybe not even saying, but you're saying you're gonna try to outdo what Calvillo do, but you're not Cynthia Calvillo. She would probably knock you out in 1 second or submit you in 1 second. Because every time you go against somebody better, you get flat out embarrassed. That's a clear way to say it. And Jillian Robertson is not a lock. She's not a person you can be confident in, especially unless you're going against somebody what's her name? Lauren Murphy? Not Lauren Murphy. What's her name? But the chick she fought last, who has solid striking but has some of the worst takedown defense I ever seen in my life. She just don't make no sense. So it was kind of a style matchup. So she looked good in that fight, but it was a style matchup. Because going against Botelho, it's no real clear route that she's going to be able to just take Botelho down and have success. And even against Calvillo still had a bit of issues with getting Botelho to the ground and then eventually finding that submission. So I feel like Roberts is going to struggle to get the takedown. Also, Botelho fought Pearl Gonzalez, another fighter who wanted to cage stall and hold you, grapple with you. And she was able to stuff her takedowns relatively easy. And that's a bigger 125. So I feel like Botelho's going to be able to stuff Robertson's takedowns, keep it on the feet, and really dig into her with those kicks and punches. So especially those kicks. She's known for those kicks, those heavy kicks. And break Robertson down and stop her in that 1st round. That's what I think happens. I think Robertson will come in thinking she's this and that, but realize maybe in a couple years she'll be there. But like I said, I'm saying all this, but she go out there and put an amazing performance. But what I really see happening is Robertson get another reality check, trying to go out there and do what she's, trying to dink above her actual skill level, get stuff, get picked apart and get put away. And I think she gets put away in that mid portion of that first round. So in this fight, I got Poliana Botelho via first round TKO. Now to our co-prelim headliner. Even though this is the prelim headliner, I didn't predict like Claudio Silva versus James Krause on the main card prediction because, you know, the fight fell off and I got moved up to the main card. But I'm going to let that be the prelim headliner for this video because I didn't predict it for the main card. But on to our co-prelim headliner. We have in the lightweight division, Matus Gamrot versus Guram Kutateladze or Lads. So, yes, looking at this fight right here, Gamrot versus Kutateladze or Ladze. Yeah, look at this fight. Well, I see right here, this really was looking at Gamrot. He's just the more experienced fighter, the undefeated fighter, the overall more well-rounded fighter, the more fleshed out fighter. We can look at Guram Kutateladze and you can say, look at, oh, he's trained with Khamzat Chimaev, so he's around good grapplers all the time, and he trains with this and that. But one thing you gotta know once you look at fights, watch fights for a long period of time, predict fights for a long period of time, is that no matter who you train with, that don't mean you're them. Like, I guess somebody could bring in Roy Jones, don't mean they're gonna have, like, for their training camp, don't mean they're gonna have Roy Jones striking when they come out there. They get trained with all the people in the world, they still gonna come out pretty much looking like themselves. Like, you can train with anybody. You come train with John Jones. Matter of fact, you can have all the best fighters in the world and train with them all day long. I mean, it's definitely gonna make you better, or should make you better, or it could have an adverse effect where you train with all these good people and they beat you up all day and like you have zero confidence. But maybe that does happen to some people. Maybe that could be the case more often than not. But well, I feel like with Kutateladze, I don't think that really has helped him too much as far as training with Khamzat Chimaev and training with good people. I think he's a good, solid fighter, but I just think Gamrot really is the overall better fighter, and resume shows, his record shows, and his level of competition shows it. And even though Kutateladze hasn't fought the best competition, he struggled with that competition at the level. Like, he's at that level of the competition he's been beating, having to make comebacks and struggling with them. Whereas Gamrot's been really on a tear, undefeated fighter, 17-0, like world-class grappling, solid striking as well. I just think he's the more well-rounded fighter, and that's going to show more experience, more well-rounded, and just flat out the better fighter. And also, like, Kutateladze kind of comes off as more of a striker. He does have some grappling, but definitely Gamrot is clearly, no ifs, ands, or buts, the better striker, and can have success with that extra grappling. But I think Guram Kutateladze, like I said, going to want to strike, and he can have success. He got some good flying knees, got some good hooks, got some good kicks. And like I said, you can't just come at him like predictable. You can't like, oh, I'm just going to rush in on a shot. You're going to get caught and get knocked out. But Gamrot is not just a fighter, some novice fighter. He's experienced and he knows how to set things up. So he thought he was coming in there head down, rushing into a knee. But I said Kutateladze can make it interesting. I think he will. But I think eventually Gamrot's being more technical, being his patience, his championship experience, and his experience against high-level competition is going to shine. He's fought good strikers. He broke them down, set up those takedowns, and worked on them. And I think that's what happened. I think early on, Kutateladze is going to be maybe like be having a little bit of success in the striking, but Gamrot's going to be kind of set him up a little bit, fill him out, set up his own timings, land his shots, then mix in his takedowns and start to break Kutateladze down on the ground and pound, control, transitions, and just flatten him out. Probably more positional control over, instead of trying to get the finish early, then soften him up for that first round, then the second round finds that submission. So in this fight, I got Matus Gamrot via second round submission. Now to our prelim headliner, we have in the welterweight division, Claudio Silva versus James Krause. So right now, Krause is the favorite, and this is another fight where I feel like the other guy should be the favorite, but it don't matter. Like, if you're betting, you will love the fact that the guy that should win is the guy that's the underdog, and you like that plus money. And I hope I don't change the odds for you people, but I'm going to tell you right now, Claudio Silva is beating James Krause. If it don't happen, you could come back and laugh. That's what it's all about, but I know what I'm talking about. I feel like Claudio Silva should win this fight. Unlike Sergio Moraes and Warley Alves, where, got Brazilians or people that, definitely are going to be explosive and very dangerous, but they got to have questionable gas tanks and questionable, well-rounded skill sets. Where, like say, Warley Alves, very heavy striker, amazing striker, explosive, dangerous, but defensively, issue, cardio, definitely a big issue. If he don't put you out, he's pretty much a punching bag after like that second round or that mid portion of that second round, especially if you're pressuring him and countering him the whole way through. Warley Alves kind of swing like a windmill, not the most technical striking, but a world-class, world champion grappler. But yeah, so like different people. But Claudio Silva, I feel like he has the best mix, and he's undefeated in the UFC for a reason. And if it wasn't for the injuries and been out, he probably would be in like the top 10, top 5 in this division. So just a guy that had a string of bad luck outside the cage, which kind of halted his progress inside the cage. And we're really gonna come to this one, like James, like let me just say, though, both guys are black belts, but in MMA we know that all black belts aren't created equally, and we all can know that Claudio Silva is the better grappler than James Krause. Another thing you can look at is I was trying to look back and find one reason why I was leaning so heavily to Claudio Silva in this one. And I look back to the fact that James Krause was on the redemption season of the Ultimate Fighter, and he lost to Jesse Taylor, I think, in the semifinals. So he's supposed to be so good on the grappling, supposed to be a BJJ black belt. But you see a guy in Jesse Taylor who's really just a muscle-bound wrestler, not the best fight IQ, not the best this, not the best anything. But he's strong, and you put that weight on, you can wrestle you. And you look at his resume, he lost a lot of fights to guillotines and submissions. And James Krause is supposed to be this black belt, but he couldn't catch a guillotine on him, and he actually got submitted by Jesse Taylor. So, and also looking at Krause, like I said, he's an amazing fighter, but his striking defense has always been poor. You can swing at big haymakers, it's a good chance you're going to be able to catch him with one of those haymakers. He's not one of those guys that could really slip shots and dodge and really stick the jab on. Like, he can stick the jab on you, but his head movement is pretty bad. He got a little bony leg. So what I really see is Silva chewing up the leg, coming over top with overhands, pressuring Krause. Also, like I said, Silva is not one of these. He has a gas tank, or he at least knows how to use his gas tank and extend his gas tanks through 3 rounds so he can be a threat through 3 rounds. He's not a guy with a poor gas tank. And he's a guy that's dangerous at all times. And his striking is more polished than, say, a Warlley Alves. I think Warlley Alves is a better grappler than him. Oh, I'm not going to say better, but I say the comparable grappler to him. But unlike Warlley Alves, I think not Warlley Alves, Sergio Moraes, his striking is more polished. His overall MMA game is more polished. So I like he can own the feet with Krause, chew up Krause's legs, come over the top with overhands, and mix in the takedown. Pressure's like, smart pressure, which will open up the takedowns. And I think he could get takedowns in every round, which will weigh on Krause. But I really think, matter of fact, I think it's going to happen in the second round. Matter of fact, now I'm going to say first round. Like, first round submission for Silva. Like, pressure heavy, get him down. Land some heavy ground and pound. Like I said, chew the leg up, come over top, mixing takedowns. Heavy ground and pound on top. Get Krause to give up a limb or a neck. And then tap him out in that first round. Probably just almost at that bell. Like real close, probably like at 4:30 or something into that first round. So in this fight, I got Claudio Silva via first round submission. And that concludes my fight predictions for the prelims of UFC Fight Night, Ortega versus the Korean Zombie. And as always, thanks for watching.